File. In this January 2, 2016, file photo, Penn State athletic trainer Tim Brim, right, and head coach James Franklin, left, check on injured quarterback Christian Hackenberg prior to his leaving the game in the first half of the TaxSlayer Bowl NCAA college football game against Georgia in Jacksonville, Florida. Lawyers for Penn State fraternity brothers charged in a pledge's death want Brim, who was alive and advisor at the Sun's closed Beta Theta Pi house, to testify about what he knew about an alcohol-fueled pledge event on February 2, 2017, that led to the death of 19-year-old Tim Piazza, of Lebanon. NJ Mark Wallheiser, file Associated Press Bellefonte, PA, an advisor to a Penn State fraternity whose members are charged in a pledge's death will have to explain why he has not responded to efforts to get to him to testify, a judge said Friday. District Judge Alan Sinclair scheduled an August 30 contempt hearing for Tim Brim, the football team's head athletic trainer who lived in the Beta Theta Pi house. Defense lawyers asked Sinclair to enforce a subpoena against Brim, saying they have not been able to serve it on him directly despite efforts to find him or reach him through his attorney. University lawyers at the building where he works. They want to question him about events that led to the death of 19-year-old Beta Theta Pi pledge Tim Piazza, of Lebanon, New Jersey, who died after ingesting a toxic level of alcohol and then falling several times after a pledge acceptance party on February 2. Brim said in a brief email to the Associated Press that he wants comment to be interviewed, following his attorney's advice. Defense attorney Leonard Ambrose, who represents Joseph Sala, argued that Brim could testify about the event as well as his permission that these activities could occur. The consent of Brim, 56, would undermine the element of recklessness involved in some of the allegations, Ambrose said. The lead investigator, State College Police Detective Dave Cicitano, testified on Thursday that Brim watched pledges being brought into the Great Room around the time of the pledge ceremony, then went back into his room. The fifth day of testimony in the preliminary hearing for the fraternity and 16 of its members wrapped up on Friday, and Sinclair said closing arguments will follow the contempt hearing. They could take several days, given the large number of defendants. Some face charges of involuntary manslaughter and aggravated assault, while others face less serious allegations that include evidence tampering and alcohol violations. Sinclair has to determine if there is sufficient evidence to send the case to county court for trial. Two members waived the hearing. Cicitano was the only prosecution witness and spent some 37 hours on the stand. He testified Friday that he gave the FBI surveillance equipment from the house in hopes that the agency can recover what he suspects is intentionally deleted footage from the fraternity house basement. He testified that one of the defendants, a man he did not name, is suspected of erasing footage the morning of February 6, and charges may be filed. Security footage from other areas of the house provided prosecutors and police with a trove of detail about what occurred that night, including a series of drinking stations the pledges were directed to and then Piazza's first fall down a set of basement steps. But there was no video from the basement, where Piazza convened with others after the ceremony. About an hour later, he had to be helped to a first-floor couch, and he subsequently fell down the steps and had to be carried upstairs. He spent much of the night on the couch in evident agony and somehow ended up back in the basement in the early morning, where he was discovered unconscious by other fraternity members. They waited about 40 minutes before calling 911. Authorities say Piazza suffered severe head and abdominal injuries, and he later died at a hospital. Penn State banned Beta Theta Pi after Piazza's death. Copyright 2017 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, rewritten or redistributed.